You already know who it is. Come on, asharenu, we back in once again. Hopefully everybody is good. You already know. What's up, Anthony? What's up, the Prime Ascension? What's up, Two Gun Shogun? What's good? What's good, everybody? I'll be with everybody in just 1 second. All right, we're gonna get started. It is what it is, you already know. We back in here. So I'm gonna actually be looking at the comments through another screen, so I won't have to be so up close. So give me 1 second. What's up, Moon Spirit? What's up, Lover by Nature? What's up? Hopefully everybody is good. All right? We're just jumping. We're just doing a little warm-up. You already know how we do it. We're just doing a little warm-up. Make it a little bit more advanced. All right, we're going to get started. Let me turn this music down. Let me turn this down. We're just having a little fun. We're just having a little fun. All right, let's get it in. So today we're going to deal with what spirit to work with in the month of September. We know that September is the 9th month. We know that the number 9 represents the number of Mars. So when we piece this together, I actually had a whole script for you. I had a whole script, but then I realized I wrote it backwards. So you probably can't read this, so I'm gonna have to read it to you. But just to show that I had a diagram for you. But you know, my first time using these angles, so we're getting it right. You know, it's a little test video. But we're going to get everything right as we go along. So, but what we have here is, let me just wipe off. You know, it's kind of hot today as usual. I can actually keep this here so y'all can kind of see it. I guess it really doesn't make any sense. So yeah, I can just keep it here and I'll just read it off to you. So not only are we in the 9th month, we are on the 6th day of September. Now, we know that the number 6 is Venus, the number 9 is the energy of Mars. If you break down Mars, which is the number 9, Mars breaks down to the number 6. If you break down Venus, which is the number 6, Venus breaks down to 9. So we see that there is an interplay of energies going on here with this 6 and this 9. So we know that the 9 represents birth or manifestation. We know that the 6 represents harmony, equalization, to level out the playing field, right? So we got Mars over here representing essentially war, birth, death, the energy of Scorpio, war. Then we have Venus representing harmony, war, harmony. These two polarities or these two contrasts actually merge together. There's a connection. In other words, when people think about harmony and peace, they think about war or the absence of war. However, war is necessary to maintain peace, whether we look at it that way or not. If there is no war, there cannot be any peace. In other words, war has to occur because this is the nature of the reality we are in. We are on the lowest planes, so therefore, once we look around us, and when we look around us, we're going to see war manifested, just because, again, this is not heaven, this is not an angelic realm, so we're going to see manifestations of war as long as we exist. So essentially, because we understand that these are the dynamics that we exist in, there can be no harmony without warship. In other words, it doesn't matter how you feel. It is all about magic and science. What works and what doesn't work. As we know, we are in times of war. Whether you want to call it physical war, mental war, spiritual war. When we activate the energy of Mars, or the number 9, we activate the energy of war. And whenever a war occurs, we know that change will occur. Remember, harmony is not a stagnated position of energy. Harmony exists in an ever-changing reality. So when something is harmonized, that means it is moving harmoniously, not standing still. We already know the law of vibration, nothing stands still. So when we think of the idea of harmony, the idea may come to our mind of peace. But remember, there's always movement. Therefore, there's always things that are going to clash, and there's always going to be conflict because there's always vibration. Vibration creates necessary contrast and conflict. Friction is necessary for harmony to be stabilized. Now, this energy of war is best represented by the energy or the deity or the spirit or the intelligence of Cthulhu. C-T-H-U-L-U. That is one of the spellings. C-T-H-U-L-U. Cthulhu. When we think about the energy of Cthulhu, Cthulhu is described as a sleeping deity, a deity that is asleep, meaning he represents the waves of the quantum world versus the particles. The physical reality, we see particles. On the quantum level of reality, particles can behave like waves, and waves can behave like particles. So when we think about the idea of Cthulhu, Cthulhu represents activating the mind and moving via waves versus particles, meaning moving and activating less of your body and activating more of your mind and your imagination. Not for the fun of it, not to have fun, but for war. Spiritual and astral warfare. When I talk about setting up your astral temple, which is essentially your idea of heaven, your idea of heaven must be forged through hell. In other words, you can't even have an idea of heaven without going through hell. You need to go through the contrast to appreciate the other side. So when we think about Cthulhu, the sleeping deity, particles, he doesn't want to utilize his body. You're like, I'm too big. I can't really do much. So I'd rather utilize my mind. Waves versus particles. So we understand that also September is a month of fall. Fall comes And this time, I believe September 22nd, around that time, we enter into the fall season, which is the season of death. We enter into the season of death. So when we deal with a month that the seasons change, a transitional month, we know that we are dealing with the crossroads. And we know that the crossroads spirits of course, you know, like Ishu, Elegba, Ganesha, so on and so forth, right? Crossroads spirits, right? But we're not going to get too heavy into the, you know, the darker energy. We'll say that, you know, towards October, November time, because we're technically still in the summer. So, you know, we're not going to go too deep into that at this point. Nonetheless, Cthulhu, the god of not necessarily physical warfare, but quantum warfare. Remember, if we are trying to reclaim our minds, we have to engage in warfare, because we have been programmed by things that's not just going to walk out of your mind. Things that have been deep-seated within us is not just going to get up out of their seats and walk off. They must be killed. There are cells in the body that must be annihilated in order to be replaced by new cells. Old cells have to die in order to make room for the new cells. So war has to take place in order to create the harmony that we seek, that expansion that we seek. As I said earlier, we are on the 6th day. If we split the 6 in half, we get 33. 3 times 3 is 9. But 33. 33 is a master number, which represents the master teacher. Number 3 is the energy of Jupiter. Right? So now we're throwing Jupiter in the mix. Why? Because this is a day of Jupiter. Thursday is a day of Jupiter for those alchemists who are following along. So we see there's a connection with the 3, with the 6, and with the 9. Remember, Nikola Tesla spoke about, if you understand the secrets of 3, 6, and 9, you have unlocked keys of the universe. So just something to ponder on. So lastly, when we deal with the energy of 9, to break it down simply, this is the energy of alchemy. And what is alchemy? The art of creating quantum strings. One more time. Alchemy, just a simplified definition, is the art of creating quantum strings. If we know anything about string theory or quantum entanglement, we know that all things are connected. So when we are in the quantum world, we are establishing connections. When we think about the energy of Cthulhu, if we look at the image of Cthulhu, he is an octopus, a bat, and a human being fused into one. The octopus represents the tentacles. The tentacles represent the quantum world. The octopus, when we look at the energy of the octopus, the animal totem, the spirit of the octopus, we know that the tentacles represent extension and expansion. So when the tentacles are growing out of Cthulhu, it represents quantum extensions. Remember, Cthulhu is a sleeping deity, so it represents quantum extensions, activating the waves versus particles. So you are creating quantum strings, establishing new connections, connections that were maybe not necessarily known, that are now known, because all things are connected. We just may not be aware of how all things are connected, or how the subjective reality may be connected with the objective reality. Nonetheless, Cthulhu represents the god of sleeping, or this god of death. Sleeping warfare. Many of us are fighting for our dreams. Just to dream at night, it's like we have to fight. We have to, set up our rooms and our altars in a certain particular way just to even access the dream world, because there's just so much interference going on a daily basis. So when we activate our warcraft or our warship, we counteract that interference that is bombarded in all of our faces, without fail on a daily basis, 24/7. So when we activate war. We step up to the offense because we are essentially being attacked, whether we want to see it or not. But nonetheless, on a deeper level, because we know that there is no such enemy but the enemy within. So when we take it to the deepest levels, we know that the real war, the spiritual war, is essentially the war of old ideas that have to be killed off or annihilated in order for the new ideas to take root and to grow. All right? So we just want to make this as simple as possible. I believe I went through everything, the 3, the 6, and 9, the Cthulhu, the energy of the 9, the energy of war, the energy of Venus, harmony, the energy of 3, expansion. 33, the master teacher. The master teacher teaches you how to expand inwardly. Remember, the number 3 is the planet of Jupiter, the planet of the guru, or the planet of wisdom. It represents wisdom because that master teacher knows how to expand inwardly. The connection is through Cthulhu. So what we just created here doing this live video is establish connections or quantum entanglements that we may not have known were connected. But now that we are aware of the connections, now we can put this energy into use. So here's my gift to everybody who's watching, everybody who's tuned in. Work with the energy of Cthulhu. The spelling, once again, Cthulhu. There may be alternate spellings, but you can type that in and you can, further do your research. Just brief history. This comes from a man named H.P. Lovecraft. He wrote the book in the 1920s. He is the first author to create the horror genre. He created the horror genre because he was receiving visions while he slept. And he recorded his visions and he turned them into fictional books called the Cthulhu mythos. For those who want the history behind this. However, although these are fictional writings, they were actual channels that represent real energy that was coming upon the planet at that time. And that's very potent at this time because Cthulhu is definitely a very, very powerful energy. It has a cult following, all this thing. H.P. Lovecraft is definitely a cult figure. Study his works and his life if you don't already know. So I believe everything is covered. I don't want to take up too much time. I just want to give y'all an introduction into what type of energies to work moving forward, moving forward in this month of September, the month of war, warcraft, warship, any warrior deities, warrior gods, warrior goddesses. Work with your solar plexus. The best example will also be Bruce Lee. For those who have been following my Instagram, you know that I just, put up the image of Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee is an immortal for those who want to tap into his energy. If you want to learn the arts, the martial arts, the mental arts of war, tap into Bruce Lee, tap into Cthulhu, tap into the war gods and goddesses, Sekhmet, right? So I believe it is covered. Hopefully everybody is enjoying the view, and I definitely will return with more information. So let me give everybody a shout out before we get out of here. So what's up, Marvin and Magi? What's up, Raw Light? What's up, Raw L 305 Capricorn? Brown Danielle. So shout out everybody. I'll see y'all soon. So we're gonna turn the music up and we're gonna vibe out. Alright. So before we get out of here, of course, we just want to show a little movements. Right? It's easy. As I slow down, I'm tightening my body harder and harder. Right? We do whatever we want. Martial arts, right? Disguise is dance. Right? That's why I do teaching. Right? Just fun and games for everybody else, right? And we already know how to do it. And as we dance, we take on the spirits. You can take on the personality of the spirits through the dance form for all my dancers out there, right? So we can go a little more aggressive, a little more mathematical, a little more technical, right? I don't think the camera can keep up. But we gonna get out of here. I appreciate everybody for watching. Y'all stay tuned. Peace on top.